like science.
I like science.
I like science.
Ooh, that was loud.
Wasn't loud to me.
Science.
Oh, I guess we started, didn't we? The recording in progress voice was so loud, it kind of stunned me. It was like a flashbang grenade.
It was stunned, just
I
like
was
that parrot
stunned.
in Monty Python.
It's just like, that was so loud. Anyway, I'm Dave. Over there's Brandy.
Hi,
We're the hosts of this Shield Podulation podcast,
this
where
thing
we
that we do.
review randomly chosen episodes of Star Trek and films from the Star Trek franchise. Totally at random, which is why it seems like we are all over the place. We're
Yes,
back
we are.
to Deep Space Nine, early into season 7 with episode 2, Shadows and Symbols, which
And
is an
wow.
odd title.
Yeah. What
Usually it's Shadows and Signs?
well, it's
portents
usually
even?
signs and portents.
Signs and Portents, Shadows and Signs.
I don't know
But
if it's
Shadows and
signs.
Symbols is odd. It's an odd way to describe those two things together.
I don't know. I think it's fine.
And it's a dense one. We've got 3 stories, I think,
Yes, we do.
in
We
this
do
one.
indeed.
Do you want to just approach each story on its own?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's
That
just
seems
throw
like
things at the wall.
The way that we can kind of organize it rather than going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth is meanwhile this thing's happening.
Okay. Well, the thing is that one of the stories is, well, yeah. I'll let's start with
Let's
the
start with the
Klingons.
first. Oh, you want to start with the Klingons? I was going to
Yeah.
start with Cisco, since that's where we begin.
Okay, fine. We'll start there.
I mean, I'm willing to start with the Klingons if you like.
No, I don't
Because
care.
that seems to be the one that's kind of off doing its own thing and doesn't seem to be dependent on the other 2 stories.
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because really, the 3 stories are independent of each other. There are things that are happening at completely different locations with completely different people.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe it was my invention in my head that the return of the wormhole helped influence the blockade.
Oh, it
But
did.
it really didn't, or did? It did.
No, it did.
Yeah.
It did.
So those 2
because,
are tied somewhat.
yeah. Well, they can all be tied together, but it's got a lot going on.
Well, the Klingon one's kind of tied to Ezri Dax showing up because of Worf's relationship with Jadzia. And so
Yeah,
I
but
think
he
all
does-
3
he
of them
hasn't
are
met Ezri yet.
linked. Well, he does at the very end and has
Yeah.
a rather terse moment with her.
Yeah, but up until that point,
Yeah.
there's stories don't intersect really physically, I guess is the word for it, because they're not in each other's physical presence. He has no idea that Ezri exists
Right.
at the point in time that until he gets back to Deep Space Nine. So, all right, so well then let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. So yeah, basically, new Dax. Welcome,
New Dax. We got little tiny Ezri Dax.
Little bitty thing.
Yep. Who never wanted to join with the symbiote. She was not intending to ever do so. Just wanted a job as a counselor, well, assistant counselor, because she's young, but
well, she wants to be a full-fledged counselor.
Yeah. And her duties as a officer, she was on that track, and then because the symbiont. Okay. The symbiont took a turn for the worse in transport. She was only Trill on board, so the only way to to save the symbiont was to install it into Ezri.
I wonder why they couldn't pull a Riker.
I don't either, because they've done that several other times, is that non-Trill has been able to carry.
Mm-hmm. At least temporarily.
Yeah, because we got that with Adira.
Yeah, but also Riker. Riker carried a symbiont. And that was our first introduction to the Trill, actually, was TNG.
So he carried it, they carried it, so it's happened before and after.
Yeah, so
it's possible.
It's one of those things where it's like, there were other options. But if you have a Trill, of course, that's going to be your top option.
Yeah, if you have a Trill, that's the best case scenario because they're the ones that are designed for that purpose. So you don't
Yeah.
want to, go to the next step down the line when you have the best available option in front of you.
Well, yeah, physiology wise, that's probably the easiest.
Yeah, using the right blood type rather than going for a general,
Yep.
like for a
I
blood transfusion sort of
I
situation.
really I appreciate how Nicole DeBoer is very good at what's the word I'm looking for here? Switching through the different past hosts within her.
I agree. And you can see that she's troubled by some of them. She responds emotionally because of others. There's little bits of Jadzia in her performance, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting, being such a, I mean, yeah, they had a, I guess, did Jadzia die the previous episode or the last of the previous season? Because imagine it was a season thing because of contracts.
Yeah, it was a season thing, if I
So
remember
yeah,
correctly.
she would
End of
have
season
died the
6.
end of season 6, and so she had a little while to prepare, but not a great deal to come in and fill the shoes from, a previous beloved character
Yeah.
and beloved actor. It's kind of difficult role for her, and I think she does so well. I was laughing a lot. Her performance is very comedic. I liked
Mm-hmm.
her confusion. I liked her being all over the place. I liked the awkward continuing to speak, just constantly talking.
Mm-hmm.
Her roundabout way of asking Cisco to slow down
Mm-hmm.
when they're walking to find the orb.
Yeah. Well, she got shorter little legs now. So,
Yeah, she's a tiny thing. She's, needs a little bit of rest every once in a while. It's not a whole lot of energy stored up in that body. You need to stop and recharge.
yeah. Well, and to be fair, people who do normally get joined with a symbiont go through years of
Hmm.
preparation and study and know what to expect.
Right.
And that is not the case with Esri. She did what had to be done,
Mhm.
and now she's got this symbiont and has no training whatsoever on how to deal with all of these different personalities within her.
Yeah, I guess they gave her a book and she had like a little bit of counseling, and this was after the fact. So it's
Yeah.
not like they prepared her for it.
No, it was an
So it's
emergency. They didn't have
still
time
a
to prepare.
shock. And
Yeah.
the fact that she feels detached from her former crew because she's not the same person anymore. It's
Mhm.
like being like 1/8 of who you used to be
Yeah.
because you've got all these new memories flooding in that are stored in the symbiont.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's telling that she'd go to Cisco for help because, that's what Jadzia and Curzon would do.
Exactly.
So those two parts override her one.
Hmm. Well, she does say during the episode, if there's anyone that can help me through this, I knew it would be you.
Right.
She says that to Ben. So but it's just, it's been a while since I've watched season 7 of Deep Space Nine, and I think I have a greater appreciation now of Nicole DeBoer's performance because
Yes.
it is very, very well done.
Hmm.
How you see the change on her face when she's channeling a different personality.
Yeah.
And it's
Uh,
just
yeah.
really, I honestly don't think she gets enough credit.
And that bit of confusion, that bit of frustration,
Yes.
the impulses to do things that one part of her personality would do normally that she herself doesn't like the rappuccino or whatever that's called,
Rock DiGino.
rock de Gino, that, Curzon and Jadzia liked, but she doesn't like the taste of, so she drinks it. It's like that. And
Yeah,
you'd think she'd have the memory of how it tastes, but that's different when it's your taste buds that they're
exactly.
aligned differently. And so you're going to respond to a certain taste differently. And there might be allergies that former hosts didn't have, all kinds of things that are distinctive between hosts
Yep.
and how to incorporate that into your daily life when you're not prepared for it.
Yeah. So, big kudos to Nicole DeBoer's first appearance in Deep Space
Yeah.
Nine because I think she does a fantastic job.
Yep.
Uh, and I like how she says it'll be just like old times, but different.
Yeah. And how she's greeting everybody and they just kind of look at her like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
"Oh, you're Dax." I got it.
Yeah. And it's nice to see her pair up with Ben, but of course she's going to do that because he's the one that knows the Dax symbiont best. That
Right.
is, the, that is still living, really.
Yeah, because this would be the third host that has had a relationship with Cisco, which is odd because it seems like they on the Trill are kind of push you to experience a different life with the new host and not
Mm,
just to follow the same patterns, the same relationships, the same lifestyles as the previous host, just so you give the symbiote new experiences to be
hmm
shared with later Trill. Because if you're just living the same life you did like one or two hosts ago, there's really no progress and really the extension of, the passing down of the symbiote really doesn't add much to the Trill experience.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's odd.
it's something that they cover earlier in Deep Space Nine, of course, when
Yeah.
Curzon Dax's was it Curzon's wife came back,
Mhm.
visited Deep Space
Yeah.
Nine, played by Susanna Thompson,
Yep.
and
We get the kiss.
yeah, and all the horny boys
Mm,
that were like, "Ooh." It's like you realize this is not about you.
no. It's not titillation. It's
You,
about their experience, their relationship.
yeah, but it's like you guys are watching two girls kiss. That means you ain't part of this fantasy.
So
So,
was the thing about a threesome with two women is, oh, now you have two women to disappoint?
yep, exactly. Yeah, it should be two men, one woman
Ah, the
because
devil's threesome
yeah, it's got to
because
be
two
two men and
horns.
one. Yeah, got to be two men and one woman
Yep.
because that way she'll at least be half satisfied.
Mm. Depends on what they're doing, I guess.
Yes, well,
Well, we don't need to get into that. We
sorry,
already
guys.
talked about Klingon sex before.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so Cisco gets this vision involving his baseball and gets this impulse to go to this planet to go looking for the orb.
the orb of the emissary.
Yeah, because he sees this woman's face that tells him where to go.
Yeah, that was
And
weird.
the
We have a
woman is his true mother, I suppose.
Yep. Well, we have a very long previously on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, there was a lot of
This,
catching up to do. And
and
I
this
saw
is
when strolling that we are 2 episodes away from the baseball episode, so it's
yep.
kind of a weird season.
It is a weird season.
It's
Season
like
7 is weird.
one episode we're watching Cisco, become the emissary even more so.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 2 episodes later, he's playing baseball on the holodeck.
Yep.
So
Well,
very
that's
odd.
because, the wormhole is back now. So the
Right. And it was
prophets
gone
can
before,
yeah, the prophets can reconnect with everybody,
which
etc.
Jeffrey
And
Combs was not too happy about.
yeah, yeah, Wayun.
Yep.
Good old Wayun. Yeah, let's talk about the rest of the journey for
Right.
Ben because they go to the Joshua Tree National
National
Park.
Park. Yep. So I looked it up and went, yep, that's Joshua Tree right there. You see the same rock formations in, Google Images or Bing because I hate Google's AI that you can't turn off. So yes, I'm
Yeah,
using Bing. Probably
yeah.
should use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Bing also has AI.
Yeah, it hasn't shown up. It doesn't say there's an AI search
Of course
thingy.
it's
I
not going
know,
to say.
yeah,
It's just
but
going
I
to be
imagine
using
DuckDuckGo
AI.
doesn't because why would they spend money on that when it's unnecessary?
Yeah.
I want to search what I'm searching for. I don't want an AI system to go look through a bunch of things I'm searching for and then give me the wrong information.
Yep.
So, just give me an article that gets researched a lot. That's what
Yeah,
I'm looking for anyway.
that's not how the internet works, baby. It
Don't
doesn't work
just
that way at
peruse it
all.
and shit it out like you're somebody using Cliff's notes on a book report.
Yeah. Okay, so Daddy Cisco has decided he also wants to go because
Yes,
this vision uh included his wife Sarah.
right,
And yeah. So he and the thing is that this isn't the mother that Cisco knew. So
right. Yeah, it's funny that when they arrive to the planet, both Jake and Granddad are dressed like they're on an improv team.
hmm
They're kind of untucked, kind of patterned long sleeve button up shirts.
Yep.
And they also dress like Assassin's Creed. They got these white hood kind of cloaks on.
Yeah. Well, you
But
want to reflect the sun, so
yeah,
gotta have white
and
clothing.
nifty like Federation color coding on them. So,
Well, of course, branding.
yep.
Come on.
Esri's got the blue stripe across her chest, right across her boobs, which makes them very prominent, which is odd because
Mm.
they're like right across her bust line. You like where you'd measure
Yeah, honey, that was
for
purposeful.
bra sizing. And then, of course, Cisco's was red. You think that was purposeful to go, hey, there you
Yeah,
go, guys.
I do, because that was what Rick Berman did, is he
That's
sexualized
true.
every female character as much
Yeah,
as
it's
he
like,
could.
how could we make her breasts prominent in this white hood thing? It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, just put a stripe across her boobs.
Yep. So yeah, they go trekking through the desert,
Yep. And
and
trekking through the desert. Lots of sand in this.
very much there's a lot of sand, and it had to have been actually hot when they were filming this, because the sun was relentless in all of the scenes that they
Yep.
filmed, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
had to climb uphill in sand. I
And
mean,
they were
they
filming very carefully not to show any other bits of California because it's like right
Mhm.
behind those rocks is probably some kind of city, possibly LA, who knows?
Yeah. Well, and that's the
I'm
thing.
not
It's like,
exactly sure where Joshua Tree is, but I think it's pretty close to Los Angeles.
yeah, well, they didn't travel to film on location,
Right.
really, unless they had to, and even then they're not using that location as that location. They're using it for something else.
I've heard of a lot of people going on ayahuasca trips and they'll go to Joshua Tree to do it,
Yeah.
to go, attune with nature out amongst the cacti and those weird looking trees
Yep.
that are on the U2 album.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of the album, the
Yep.
Joshua Tree. And Ben keeps hearing this voice paging a doctor,
Yep. And
which is really
he
weird.
portrayed by such a great actor that he does a man obsessed really well.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes, he
so
does.
just the persistent walking, and of course, Ezra going, hey, could we slow down? Because your dad and Jake might not keep up. And he looks back and asks them how they're doing. They're, oh, yeah, just great. And he looks at her like, yeah, keep up.
They're both about to collapse, and they're
Yeah.
saying, yeah, we're fine,
At one moment, he takes off his backpack and just leaves it there. And he's the one
without
that
the
told them to
water.
bring water. And so she
Hmm.
goes through the pack and takes his water out of it.
Yeah.
So
And,
showing that she's thinking ahead.
and the interesting thing, because of, the let's remember that the prophets do not understand time.
No, they live outside of time. Time is a flat circle from like
Mm.
True Detective.
Yeah,
It's,
time
like
time is
from
happening all together.
right
Future, past, present, all are one.
from a
So,
fifth dimensional viewpoint. It's like being, three or fourth dimensional, three dimensional looking at two dimensional, you see it flat. It's the same concept if you look at time from the next dimension, is it's all together in one thing.
mm,
It's one complete deal. There's no like beginning, middle, end in any particular way. It's all there clumped together in one event.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's how the prophets, the wormhole aliens, or whatever else you want to call them,
Yeah,
that's how
those
they
are the
see
two
time.
most used names.
Yeah.
So, but he has basically, Ezra is like, you're being ridiculous, and you you need to stop. And she takes he had taken the baseball out of his backpack, and
Yeah, he's fidgeting with it.
he was fidgeting with it like it was a talisman.
Yep.
And then she just grabs it out of his hands and throws it. And he's like, there, and starts digging where the baseball
Mm.
landed.
Because this has already happened for
Yep.
the prophets. They know
Yes.
where it's buried, and they know that Esri's going to be there. They know that she's going to throw this baseball,
Hmm.
and so they know where that's going to land. And so that's where they plant the orb
Yep.
before she ever throws it, because timey-wimey.
And this is where it gets crazy,
Right.
because
Literally, in a way.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't say Benny is crazy.
Right.
Benny is just connected to the prophets but doesn't
Right.
realize it. So it all goes back to that other Deep Space Nine episode that I can't remember the name of right now, and people are screaming at me because I can't remember the name of it. But
It doesn't matter. People
in
don't
any
know the
case,
names of episodes. except
it's
for
a
Dan.
it's a really fantastic episode too, because it's a commentary on being black,
Right.
and it's a commentary on creativity,
Yep.
etc. You get to see a lot of the actors out of their makeup. You know,
Hmm.
we've got Quark being, out of makeup. We've got Wayun out of makeup.
Yep.
All of these things, and it's this is calling back to that, because now Benny is basically in what looks like an insane asylum, and he's just
Yep.
writing on the walls.
Yeah, he's writing his story, his science fiction story.
Yep. And the doctor that has finally been paged and arrives in his room is the same actor that plays Damar in this episode. But
Yep.
here's something that I did not know. So the last episode that we did, which was Enterprise's episode Damage,
Right.
and the captain of the ship, the other ship that they took the warp coil from,
Uh-huh.
the captain is the same actor who
Oh,
played
wow.
Damar.
Well, what are the
Surprise,
chances?
Damar!
Yeah. Be interesting if that happens with a lot of our reviews, is like one performance will leap to the other episode. It's
Weird,
like
huh?
this one actor from one episode is in the next, and then so on and so on. Like
Yeah, and
just
I didn't know
links
that.
in a chain.
I was talking to Dan and Bruce about that after we did Unready
Huh.
Room. And that's when Dan told me that. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell
Wow.
Dave.
Yeah, that's a
So,
pretty cool link. That's fun when that happens.
yeah.
Just kind of a chance thing that an actor from the previous episode we reviewed is in this one.
And the funny thing is that it also implies that Deep Space Nine is a fictional thing, but I don't look at it that way. I
Well,
look
it's
at it more of somebody in the past, like this is a progenitor of Cisco
hmm.
somehow. And the prophets, again, everything is all at the same time. So to
Yeah,
them, it's timeless. This is happening all at the same time. But Benny is helping this story. Benny is helping Ben find the orb,
right.
and there are outside forces trying to keep Cisco from discovering the orb
Yeah, because
through
again,
this doctor.
the prophets are outside of time, and so they can affect time in some ways
Yeah,
by
yeah.
interfering. And because Cisco is the emissary, they are manipulating his life, which comes to his mother too,
Mm-hmm.
that they orchestrated for Ben Cisco to be born.
Yeah, basically, she wasn't ever going to marry Joseph.
Right.
She was possessed,
Yep.
literally, and married him and had Ben. And then once she wasn't possessed anymore, she's like, no, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, she didn't want to be, a wife or mother or have that life at all, and so she walked out on them. And that explained why, is
Yep.
that that was not a life she ever wanted. She was possessed and made to have that life, which robbed her of her agency, which is a terrible, terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of terribleness in that just so the prophets can have their emissary.
Yeah. Because it could be no one else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for that woman. I feel
Yeah.
bad for her, for Sarah. But of course Ben didn't know any of this beforehand.
Oh.
So Daddy keeping secrets. But
Yeah.
Daddy didn't know why it had happened the way it did, and now he does. So
Yep.
at least he gets some closure on the matter.
A little bit. It's still kind of lame to realize that this woman you loved was only loved you to have this, well, not even possibly loved you, but only was with you for this specific thing, which is your son.
Mm-hmm.
I could see how that could create resentment, but Ben Cisco's dad's so great that you don't get that from him.
No.
That he loves his son, unequivocally, and same as Cisco loves, Ben loves Jake. So, this family are really tight with one another. I
They
mean, I
are.
think Granddad was a little upset when Ben went off to Starfleet instead of staying and helping with the restaurant and stuff like that. But, it's not enough to break up the family.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like parents always want to copy and paste their expectations, dreams, and wants on their kids because they
Yeah.
couldn't achieve it themselves. So they want to see their kid do it by proxy. And hey, parents, don't do that.
No, they're not meant to be little clones of you and they're little mini-me's. They're supposed to have
No,
their own lives and own interests.
let them figure out who they are.
Yeah. Develop who they are, develop their own personalities.
Yeah. So yeah, they finally
So
Ben
dig
gets
and
the
dig and
thing
dig.
open. He gets the thing open, and after almost not getting it open because Benny was almost going to stop writing the story.
Yeah, in
And
his in the I guess the past, Benny was about to paint over it because the doctor gave him some
yeah,
paint to paint over what he is writing.
he was
And
saying that he shouldn't be doing
yeah,
this. I'm like, there are so many things that I could delve into about that particular thing. Just a white man trying to keep a black man down, trying to silence him,
yep, from expressing his creativity.
making him think he's crazy
Uh-huh.
because of what he's doing, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also just the era of how little was known of psychology at the time, and still it could be better,
Yeah, it could.
especially now. But yeah, and meanwhile, Ben Sisko is burying the orb again after he uncovered it because he's, back in the past, he's stuck on the line of whether he opens it or not.
Hmm.
Interesting before when he was trying to dig it out and they cut back to him and the sand pile in front of him was taller than when he started.
Yep.
I just thought that was some odd editing. Is like, what are you doing? You're just moving sand and now
Hmm.
you're piling it up in front of you. You're not actually digging. You've got a shovel. You should get to that pretty quickly.
Well, that's the thing about sand, though, is it is very, very loose, and it
Yeah.
is hard to dig out and keep it out.
Yeah, it pours in as you dig, which is why you got
Hmm.
to kind of fling it when you're digging so it doesn't just pile back in.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to move the sand away from where you're digging to somewhere else.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just seemed like he was building a sandcastle or something in front of him. There's just this heap of sand. Is like, aren't you supposed to be digging?
That was the whole thing. That was the pile of sand he dug out.
Well, yeah, yeah, but this was before he was
I
in
know, I
the
know, I know.
past, so
I'm just
yeah,
teasing.
it's just odd.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets the explanation from the prophets. And guess what? The wormhole's back. Yay!
Yeah, we
Yeah.
release the orb. The orb explains shit and
Hmm.
then goes, "Hey, bye." And then goes, creates the wormhole and releases the Pa Wraith that was in it. Ejects it, like evicts it, kicks it out like a bouncer in a club.
Kicks it right to the curb.
Yeah, get out of here, you.
Freaking paw wraiths.
Yep.
It never ends well for them. They
No,
never learn.
no.
They never learn.
Yeah. Well, it's the Vorlons in the Shadows
Hmm.
from
Basically. Yep.
Babylon 5. Yeah, same kind of gist. It's like
Indeed.
I got these kind of aliens that are sort of good, are looked at as religious icons, kind of above it all because, they kind of are in a way because they exist outside of time. And then you have the flip side of them that like to sow chaos and
Mm.
because through chaos, people thrive and evolution changes and, that sort of thing. It's all order and chaos, those two in constant battle.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for the noise that I might have just made with my microphone. Sorry,
I didn't
guys.
hear anything.
Yeah, well, of course you didn't, but I accidentally knocked against my stand, so it may have made noise.
Oh, okay. It might have
So
gone twang,
it might have gone plong.
twang.
Yeah, and I think we'll save the final scene for the wrap up for every story
Yeah, I
because
think
they
so,
all come
because the
together.
conclusion, they all come together in a kumbaya kind of thing. So, except
Yep.
for Worf and Ezri.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you want to go with next? Do you want to go with
I
Kira or do you
think
want to go with Worf?
I think we'll go with Worf because the Kira one seemed to come later in the storyline, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Or
it
did
was
it?
it was
No.
started from the beginning.
Yeah, because it was Cisco that gave her the con.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah, let's go with Kira then.
Okay,
So with Ben gone, Major Kira is she now?
I believe so.
Yeah,
She's still I
because I
or is
think she
she
becomes a
Colonel?
colonel. Yeah, because they call her colonel and they call her major too. So that confused me. It's like,
I
which one is she?
I
Did she get a promotion
think
in this episode?
I can't remember if she gets promoted during this. I can't remember.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's major in one service and colonel in the other. And because often I think she's referred to by like army infantry kind of ranking system. that a major in one is a colonel in the other. It's all very confusing.
No, major and colonel are the same thing. In the same hierarchy. Major
Well,
step down
yes,
from colonel.
but in one ranking system, like the way they rank like Navy is different than they rank Army, if
Yes,
you
but
get
there
my
are not
meaning.
majors in the Navy.
I see. Oh yeah,
There
because there's
are,
commanders.
yeah, there are commanders.
Yep.
They're they're
Lieutenants,
lieutenants, commanders,
commanders, captains.
captains,
Because captain is a lower rank in
admirals.
the Army because his captain comes right after lieutenant. And
No,
then
captain
major.
comes after major. No,
I
you're right. Captain
Yep,
comes before major.
yep. So captain, major, colonel, general.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. Ranking systems are just weird. I knew
Doesn't matter.
a kid in ROTC, and we would play that Hero Quest game that had the little miniatures, the skeletons and stuff, and had this board that you could add doors and walls just so it was a different game each time.
Mm.
And while we were playing, he would take the little skeleton miniatures and put them in formation.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Well, and in any case, her rank doesn't really matter at this point because it's not really part of the
It's not really part of the story.
story.
It's just I swear they called her Colonel and Major, and it was like that was confusing to me.
It could have been.
Yeah.
I didn't really pay that much attention. Long story short, there is weapons on a planet that
Yep.
is controlled by the Romulans, and they're
Right.
claiming that there are not weapons there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, nope, nope, we've got to take care of this. And she's basically going to go out and form a blockade with some other
Yeah.
ships.
The weapons are there, but they're incomplete because they need some kind of launching system
Hmm.
that, as they cannot be used. But there's more ships coming,
Yeah.
and so that's why she wants to form a blockade.
Yes. And Odo's like, well, I'm going with you then, because at this point they're in a relationship.
Makes you wonder
So,
who's left to run Deep Space Nine.
I don't know because like everybody else
Everybody's gone.
is gone.
Like
So who the hell's in
Cisco
charge?
is on another planet digging a hole in the sand. You got practically everybody else working with the Klingons.
Hmm.
And then you have Odo and Kira doing this blockade thing, and they have to take some crew with them. So who the hell's left?
Yeah.
Was it Morn?
Yeah, Morn's running the system.
Morn's
Running the
running
whole
Deep
thing.
Space Nine?
And he is, wow, does he bark out orders like no one you've ever seen?
Oh yeah, just not when anybody's looking.
Mm. Not when not when the camera's on him. No.
Yeah, not when the camera's on him. Yeah,
Because Deep
exactly.
Space Nine's a documentary, didn't you know?
Seriously, who the hell's running the
I
station?
don't
There's
know.
nobody left.
There have to be other higher ranking officers
Yeah,
because
there's
our
uh,
cast can't be on the bridge all the time.
there's got to be a beta and
Yeah,
gamma
there are
crew or
shifts.
something.
I'm sure there's alpha, beta, and delta shifts,
Yeah,
just like
which
pretty
is
much
weird
every
because why
other.
do they skip
Yes.
gamma and go right to delta? That's odd.
I don't know. I don't know how the Greek alphabet works.
Yeah,
So
it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, and then I forget because I took modern Greek for a short while.
there's omega in there somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
except our teacher was, I guess, struggling with health concerns, and so it was
mm,
very difficult to follow through.
weird.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, she's told Admiral Ross, who I do not trust. He does not seem like a trustworthy admiral, but
Well,
what admiral
anybody
has
who's
been?
willing to work with the Romulans that closely and look the other way when they're doing shady stuff, yeah, it's just because they're needed for the Dominion War. It's like, do we
Yeah,
really need the Romulans that much?
not
I know they
really.
control a huge amount of space because it seems like the neutral zone and what's beyond it, Romulan space is a huge portion.
Yeah.
So,
But they have very powerful ships. So
yep.
yeah, we've got he's basically telling Kira, this is not a good idea. What are you gonna do if ships actually show up? And she's like, we'll figure it out, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll wing it.
She's good at bluffing. She's very good at bluffing. She's
Yeah.
very good at posturing.
Yeah, she can
And
stand her ground for sure.
she's the perfect person to lead this blockade because I
Well,
don't think
yeah.
anyone else could have pulled it off.
Yeah, she can
So
dig her heels in for sure. That's,
yeah, she
just
is Stubborn as the day is
yeah,
long.
there's the unstoppable force and then the immovable object, and she's kind of the immovable object and the unstoppable force at
Yeah,
the same time.
she's everything.
She's
She's
Colossus and
everything.
Juggernaut all in one,
Yeah.
if you follow the X-Men.
So she takes her ships out there, and she knows that if the Romulan ships that are coming call her bluff, that she's kind of fucked
Yeah.
because they don't have the firepower to take on Romulan warbirds.
No, they don't, but also it's something the Romulans are unlikely to want to do because it'll
Hmm.
reflect badly on them and
It'll
break the
destroy their
alliance with
alliance.
Starfleet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll be left alone to fight the Dominion War on their own or join the other
Yeah.
side with the originators or whatever, progenitors or whatever we're calling
Progenitor.
them.
Uh,
Founders.
Founders. There it is.
Founders.
I could think of the Great Link, but I can't
Yeah.
remember anything else. Founders. Yeah. Founders. Uh-huh.
Founders sounds
And
like either a pub or one of those restaurants that do deal only in bread, like Kneaders.
deal only in bread, and you know it.
Yeah,
It
it was
neither's
not
before.
impressed. I wasn't impressed by their menu, so it seemed like they only did bread. Like, oh, I
No,
see
they
bread, bread, more bread,
there's
even more
so
bread.
there's so many pastries, dear. So many
Oh,
pastries.
to me, that's still bread.
It's not bread.
Okay,
It's cake and
cake. All right,
pastry.
cake. Cake is
Uh,
just bread with icing on it.
oh God. Anyway, so Admiral Ross is now with Kretak, who is a Romulan higher upper, and she's of course claiming no, there's no
Did
weapons
you just call
there.
her a higher upper?
I did. I
I
don't
like
know.
that ranking system. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a high, there's an upper, there's a higher upper, there's a lower, there's a lowest. Because that way you know kind of where you are. Do I salute
Yeah.
that guy? I don't know. Are you a higher or are you upper or you're lower? See if he's the upper than the higher, then if he's the highest. Gotta salute that guy. It's like the economic system we have in the United States where you're upper lower class, lower upper class, middle class.
Yeah. How about we all just be one class?
It would be nice. That's what we're
Everybody's
supposed
treated
to be, but
equally.
that's not the way it works. You're looked at
Yeah.
by your economic status,
Yeah.
sadly.
Fuck off. Anyway,
Yep. Fuck
um,
off.
basically what happens is a game of chicken.
Bark.
Yep. So the Romulan ships do show up,
Mm-hmm.
and
Warbirds.
yeah, Kira's not going to back down,
Yeah,
even
she's
if they
tenacious.
start firing.
Mhm.
And it's not until basically all these things coincide and the wormhole reappears that the Romulans are like, okay, I
It makes you
guess
wonder
we're
why
screwed.
that was like the thing to change their minds. But according to our admiral, he's the one that changed their mind because he's like,
Hmm.
hey, if you fire upon them, this deal's over. So,
Yeah.
you got to remove those weapons and get out of here or just leave and
Yeah,
we'll
the weapons
dismantle
that
the
you
weapons
said you didn't
ourselves.
have.
Yeah, the weapons you said you didn't have that you clearly have. And claiming that medical supplies, which where have we heard
Hmm.
that before,
Hmm.
are coming in warbirds. It's like, well, they need it for protection. Protection of what? They're all warbirds. You don't have any medical frigate in your entire fleet.
No. Yeah, I mean, if they were coming as escorts, that'd be
Yeah.
one thing, but they were just coming as warbirds, and so
Hmm.
obviously it
Yeah.
was so clear that they weren't carrying medical supplies.
Well, the Romulans are always scheming, so it's like, what's to make you think you should believe them ever?
Yeah. Your plans are barely schemes.
Schemes upon schemes.
Ah, but yeah, once the wormhole reopens, it's pretty quickly that information spreads.
Yes.
So, but yeah, there's finally they don't die. They don't die. That's great
They
because
don't die. There's no shots fired on
no
the
shots fired.
blockade. So yeah,
And
it was stalemate. Well, not even stalemate. The Romulans leave. They
yeah,
turn tail.
I feel like there's a little bit of respect earned that the Kretak doesn't really acknowledge, but I think she's actually kind of like, yep, you stood your ground like a Romulan.
Yeah. Well, like a Bajoran.
Yeah, that too. You never Never underestimate a Bajoran, especially a
Yeah.
former freedom fighter.
Yeah, part of the Bajoran resistance. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a thing.
it is. So, whew, everybody,
Yep.
change your underwear if you need to.
And
Because-
all this while, Odo has been recommending a Mike Hammer novel
yes,
for
nice.
Kira to read. It's
That's
just like
some nice actual reference, you know.
it's like, oh yeah, you'll enjoy this. The guy doesn't like waiting. He's hard as nails like you are.
Hmm.
Gets things done. And he's like, oh, I like this guy already.
Yeah. Also, I might have accidentally just scraped my mic again. Sorry, guys.
Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do with you?
No,
Gonna have to wrap your microphone in like bubble tape.
then it won't pick up anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jadzia.
And really celebrating and kind of great too.
It's like somebody talking while getting their makeup did.
Yep.
I think that's how a lot of models end up being ventriloquists
Yep.
because they want to talk while they're getting their makeup done.
Yep.
Same with some actors, because they just talk without ever moving their lips because they're getting their makeup done. So they kind of talk like this.
Yeah. It's I don't know how ventriloquists do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it
Yeah, you
takes a
just
lot of
watch their Adam's apple go up and down. It's like, yeah, I
yeah.
see you talking.
Yeah, but it's the mouth that people focus on, really.
Yeah.
So it's anyway, long story short, let's go over to the Klingons.
Let's
So
go over to the Klingons. So Worf doing more Klingon shit. Wants Jadzia, since she died previous season, to go to Stovacor, even though she's not Klingon, but she likes Klingon shit.
well, she might as well
So
be a Klingon. I mean, she
yeah, she might
survived
as
marrying a
well.
Klingon.
Yeah, Curzon, Jadzia, they're both into Klingon shit. So of course she dies. Her soul's gonna go to Stovacor, which is basically Valhalla, so she can fight and drink wine and for all eternity.
Hmm.
And so to do this, they've got to go on a very dangerous mission to blow up a shipyard that's near a sun that's the Dominion, the founders are using to create is it
More
the
warships.
Jem'Hadar
Hmm.
ships?
More of them.
Yep. So because Wayuns come in to ask for increased production by 15%.
Yeah.
So this is gonna punch a big hole in the Dominion's war plans to take out this shipyard. Seems like they're getting a lot of warships from this one particular shipyard.
Yep.
Which, yeah, when they were going by, I was like, it's only a model.
Only model. Yep. Made me laugh.
It's a nice looking model, but yeah, this shipyard. So if they fly close to the sun to cause the sun to launch like a solar flare kind of explosion-y kind of thing,
Yeah, basically a
that
mass ejection.
yeah, mass ejection from the sun
Hmm.
will eliminate these nearby shipyards.
Yep.
So, and anybody who's not in a previous story is involved in this one.
Yep. We've got Miles, we've got Bashir, we've got Quark.
Yep, all who've had
Quark.
close relationships with Jadzia. I don't know how close Miles O'Brien has been
Well, he hung out
with
with Bashir
Jadzia.
all the time, so
That's true. So he's probably there for his friend Bashir, who's had close ties to Jadzia, closer ties than I think O'Brien had. Although I
yeah.
suppose it's somewhat close. But
Yeah.
O'Brien's really closest to Bashir.
Yep.
Probably that whole British Isles camaraderie kind of thing.
Mm,
You know,
indeed.
the
So
Irishman and the Englishman.
yeah, the freaking the idea that Quark cares enough about this to actually come at his own personal harm is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
that's
Like,
how close he was to
wow.
Jadzia.
Yeah.
Because those two were pretty close, because she was always hanging out at Quark's bar, and they were
Yep.
always just ribbing on each other, and it's that kind of relationship. Though he does like poking the bear in
Oh,
this,
yes, he
which,
does.
say something about Fringy. Yeah, they're like money grubbing, but God, the balls
Hmm.
on Quark just to constantly poke at Worf. And Miles and Bashir are like, dude, calm it down, just shut up, just you know, just right along. That's all you really need to do. We're not really asking much else of you because you're not really providing anything.
Nope,
You're
you're
not
just
helping at
here.
all. You're just here in spirit. And if you're only going to complain about, gawk being served all day or asking Worf to thank you for what? What are you offering? Your presence?
Yeah.
You're more of something in the way, an obstacle, than you are any help because you're not providing any help at all.
No.
And
No.
so to ask for, some kind of gratitude from Worf, and of course Worf says, "Why? Why should they, you know, you should be thanking me for allowing you to be here, to help Jadzia because, you're all undeserving of her," which is a rough thing to say.
Mm,
And of
well,
course, he has to later go back on his words, which surprises everybody because Worf isn't one to apologize.
yeah.
It's typical of toxic masculinity, which is just indicative of all of Klingon culture, is to
Mm.
refuse to apologize for your wrongdoings. But he does so because, of course, he's Starfleet, and so some of that's gotten through to him.
Well, that and he was raised human.
That's true.
So,
So yeah, to apologize and thank them for coming along, and
mhm.
though Quark doesn't do anything this whole episode except for complain and poke the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Nice to
doesn't
see
offer anything.
nice to see JG Hertzler back as which one is he playing? Martok? I think. I don't
I
remember.
think I think Martok, I know, is the one with the one eye.
Yeah, well he used to have two eyes.
Yep.
But JG Hertzler, love him, love him. Anyway, yeah, basically their first time trying to get the mass ejection to work does not work.
Nope.
And now
They
they've
need to
got Jim
expand
Hadar
it.
on their
Yeah.
asses.
Mm-hmm.
So they do technical shit
Yep.
and make a bigger
Technobabble,
mass
technobabble.
ejection
Yeah.
thing. And, as I was watching that sequence of the mass ejection, basically just decimating this shipyard with, I mean, it's a big shipyard.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there thinking that could happen to our planet one day.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
So yeah, just wow.
Yeah, mass ejection from the sun could
Hmm.
devastate us. And we're
Yep.
pretty far away from the sun, even
Well,
so.
really bad solar flares could also devastate this planet.
Yeah,
So,
and we've got them a couple of times, and they'll fuck things up.
yep,
So,
the sun can kill us in more ways than you know.
oh, it's just skin cancer alone.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's afraid of vaccines, and then they say, if you want to be healthy, get out, get some sunlight. It's like, you know how damaging sunlight is to your DNA?
Yeah. Sunlight is not your friend.
Sunlight fucks shit up. Leave. I had Luke Skywalker action figure back in 80s, 70s. The little one with the lightsaber that would come out of the hand.
Hmm.
It got through on top of a roof and just got sun bleached.
Yep.
And so when eventually it came back down off that roof, it was so miscolored. And if you leave any kind of cloth out in the sun, it just decays because the sun just bombards it and just decays whatever, bondings are keeping that cloth together.
Hmm.
So
And with our
yeah.
ozone layer having so many holes in it, that doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sun.
Yeah.
Sun will fuck you up.
It will. That
Vampires
is
had it
why
right. Avoid the sun, look young forever.
stay out of the sun looking forever.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's why I live like a
Was it
vampire.
Coco Chanel, which was a Nazi sympathizer for one thing, but also her thing with the tan, getting
Hmm.
everybody to think being tan was to be beautiful, and how many people would get skin cancer from that afterwards.
Well, see, that's the thing. All a tan is damaged skin. That
Yep.
is literally what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yep.
Tans are damaged skin.
So
And you know what else it does to your skin? It tans it. But I mean, it tans it like you would
li-
tan a hide
like
of a
tan
cow.
leather. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to look like leather and not good leather? And yeah, just keep baking yourself in the sun. Anyway, sorry.
So
Sorry.
so they Death Star the sun
They did.
and blow up a bunch of Jem'Hadar ships, including the ones that were pursuing him, which was exciting.
Yeah.
Because they're only leaving at full impulse, but I guess so, because I guess you don't want to go to warp that close to a sun because of, I
No.
guess, what the gravity would do. I don't know. I don't
It
get
would
it.
well, it would fuck up it could possibly fuck up the trajectory of the mass ejection. I'm just gonna to
Oh,
do
I
that.
could
I'm
see
just
that.
gonna
Or it could affect
technobabble
how
it.
they warp, and they could warp into some other thing.
Yes,
You
you don't
know,
want to
who
deal with
knows
that.
how that's going to affect your warp bubble, being that, close to a
Yeah.
gravity well.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was pretty exciting seeing that ejection from the sun just devour these Jimardar ships.
It was very satisfying.
Because yeah, we had inside the cabin sparks. But
Yep.
hey, for a Klingon ship, it wasn't all red and boiler roomy for once, so
I
that was
know,
kind of
right?
nice. Guess they have that lighting setup where you can decide what lighting to have.
Yeah. We're gonna have blue light today.
Yeah.
I like
Yes.
blue light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like a Borg today. Let's make it green.
Yes. Let's go through the RGB. So we've
Yeah.
done red, we've done blue. Oh, now it's time for green. Time for green.
Having seasonal affective disorder, so let's make it yellow.
Yeah, yeah. But then people get confused when it's a yellow alert.
Yeah.
But that's only on Starfleet ships. Never
Right,
mind.
right.
So I don't think Klingon ships have a yellow alert. They have they have normal and they have shit. That's
They
basically the
have
two Klingon.
we're not battling, we're battling.
Yeah,
It's probably
that's
their two things.
yeah.
It's a good day to die, it's not a good day to die. Oh my God, there was so much Klingon in this. It's like Worf wouldn't shut up. It's like, dude, just every Klingon word in the Klingon dictionary in this one.
Yeah, well, he was reciting a specific passage for
Yeah,
Jadzia's passage into Sto-vo-kor. So you can forgive him that.
right.
You know, it's part of a ritual and it's important to him. So,
Yeah. We'll get to that later.
yeah.
His single-mindedness of Klingon culture at the expense of just about anything else.
Yes, well, and he didn't even grow up that way, guys.
Yeah, it's
Book
it's
learning is
it's
one thing.
tiresome. I get tired of it.
Yeah.
Worf. That's why I like Warrior Monk Worf so much better. Is he's kind of grown up. He's matured.
Hmm.
He's not trapped in this ideology of Klingon culture. He kind of became his own thing. And
Well,
there's some authenticity that comes with that rather than pretending to be something just to feel like you fit in.
well, I agree with all of that. But at the time that this, you know, the time, our time, as far as when this series was running, you know, the 90s, it wasn't, we weren't there yet. We
Right.
just weren't there yet. And so Worf is a product of that time. But Warrior
Yeah.
Monk Worf is the bomb. And Michael Dorn did have a lot of input
Mhm.
into what Old Man Worf is going to be like.
You could feel it. You could feel this embracing of the character
Yes.
where he wasn't being forced to do Klingon this, Klingon that. Is like this is a Worf thing
Yes.
specifically.
And that's why I asked him when we met him, I asked him, you know, did you finally get to have input into this character? And he said yes. It's part of the
Nice.
reason why I wanted to do it. So,
Yeah, I like Warrior Monk Worf a lot.
yeah. And I loved meeting Michael Dorn. So
Yeah.
it was so cool. What a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
Smart dude.
Yeah. Pilot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a pilot. So
Pretty
anyway,
cool.
so yeah, that covers all three stories. So now we are back to the triumphant return of Benjamin Sisko
So
and
here we
company.
get Indiana Jones returning with the stones and all the children of the village coming to greet him, all the people in the village coming to greet him, him picking up a child, putting him on his shoulders. You thought the same thing? Your mic cut out.
Same thing. I was just in my brain. I was like, this is a little bit Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
It was just a
It's like
fleeting
the whole
thought.
village there. Hey, you brought back the wormhole. Hey, emissary.
Yay.
And,
And pick up this
everybody,
child you'll never see again.
it's a busy day on the space station for whoever's running it.
Yeah.
Um, when everybody shows up at once, meeting at the just outside the TSA area, I guess.
I feel like though, I mean, really, it's if you think about it, it's just three ships that are
Yeah.
coming back, but you know, it's got all of the main cast on it.
Mm. So yeah, I have Cisco showing up with everybody. Esri's there, and she says, "Hi, everybody," and they're like, "Who?" It's like, "Oh, it's Dax." It's like, "Oh," and then she says, "I need to talk to you later, Worf."
And he just gives it this look like, no.
It's like, yeah, they go, "That's Dax," and she says, "I doubt it," or something to that effect.
Yeah, he's
It's
not
because
happy.
his Klingonness is more important than her Trillness,
Hmm.
and that's upsetting.
Yeah.
That the Trill culture that has passed down the symbiote, which is a disservice to Jadzia, because
Hmm.
she carried a symbiote, and he knows that. He
Hmm.
should know how important that is to Trill culture, and he dismisses it
Hmm.
right after delivering Jadzia to Stovacor, supposedly, because that the continuance of Jadzia's memories in Esri upsets his belief in Stovacor, even though those are two different things, because it's the memories, not necessarily the soul of your previous companion. So
Yeah.
perhaps her soul has moved on to Stovacor, but her memories remain.
Hmm.
And shouldn't that be a good thing? Because you can still kind of talk to Jadzia, which is a bit weird. And I could
Yeah.
see how that could be upsetting, but at the same time, it's a disservice not only to Esri to dismiss her in this way, but to Jadzia and all the other hosts of Dax. And
Yeah.
I get that Worf is emotional because he just lost, his wife, but at the same time, dude, you should know better.
Yeah. Well, he's not thinking clearly. It's
No.
been a very, very
Well,
short time since
we can say
Jadzia was
that
killed.
about Worf a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not one he's he's not one to use logic.
This is true. And I feel like, honestly, I wasn't surprised by his reaction
Yeah.
simply because it came out of nowhere. He had no
Hmm.
preparation whatsoever of this knowledge.
Yeah, he does get blindsided, which is probably a bit of Ezri's fault too, because she could announce beforehand that she's coming to DS9 and that she has the symbiont. And
Hmm.
so everybody's alerted, hey. But then with them being on this deep mission, I don't know if they have radio silence. I don't know what's going on there. So he might not have reached, had that message reach him anyway.
Yeah.
Though I could, is he checking his emails on his way back to DS9? I don't know.
Probably not. So, I mean, they are on a Klingon ship,
Yeah.
so they probably don't check their email as
Yeah, I
often
don't see
as a
Klingons checking
Starfleet
emails
vessel
really
would.
often.
They'd be like letting him pile up for 3 weeks and then
Yeah,
finally answering.
yeah.
Sounds like what they
Just
do.
left unread.
Hmm. So yeah, interesting episode because
Yeah,
it is
it's a
jam packed.
yeah, it's a full one. They managed to stuff three stories in this, and they all link together at the end, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't feel to me like any one of the stories suffered
No,
from
I think
lack
they
of
each
attention.
it seems like each gets equal time. I think
Yeah.
the emissary one gets a little bit more, but maybe just because I was like, I don't know, just intrigued by that one with
Hmm.
what it was doing with the sand. It's like, why
Yeah.
do you have so much sand? You're digging. What are you doing? But I think, yeah, equal time for each, it felt like. It's
Yeah.
like they had so many minutes to fill in this episode, and they devoted equal time to the three stories.
Yeah. I think it was very well balanced.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Got anything else you want to say?
I think we covered most of it, just more Klingon shit, and did the whole stuff about the prophets, the wormhole aliens, and how weird they are.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Weird and
yeah, and
annoying. They're
the
so
blockade,
fucking annoying.
talked about that.
Yeah.
Jake being super tall, especially in scenes against Ezri.
Yep. Well, Esri is tiny.
Yeah, and
She's
Jake's a
she's like a pocket
beanpole.
Polly. You can just put her
Yeah, yeah,
put her
she's
right in your
oh
coat.
Polly Pocket. Yeah,
Yeah. That's what I meant to say. Polly pocket.
Pocket Polly. Pocket Polly is something you
Pocket.
get from Dr. John's. I may be confusing the word Polly for something else. Anyhow, yeah, I think we covered everything.
Goodness.
Satisfactory.
This it's nice. I liked having these three different stories that intersect at the end, but also I think they were all three well done.
Yeah.
And oh, I forgot to mention Damar has a new love interest.
Oh, she was something else. Holy
Yeah.
smoke, she was taller than he was.
Yeah, and
Climb
he
that
did
mountain.
not care. Just like,
Yeah. So no,
hello.
no, Amazon, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Delish.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, good episode.
Hmm. Oh yeah, there was some flirtation going on between them too. As I'll see you later tonight. And
Hmm.
they're having drinks together.
Yeah,
Of course,
well,
Wei Yun is
and
going, well, if I tell her, she will be executed. And she's like, I'm gonna go.
yeah. But then Damar was still just kind of like,
Yeah, wasn't listening fully. He's like, oh
nope.
yeah, race production by how much?
Yeah.
So yeah, she was an interesting little bit, tidbit, little side piece for
Statuesque.
a scene.
Very, very glorious woman.
Yes,
Glorious woman.
yes, yes.
All right. So
So time?
time. It's time.
Time.
Time to do
Oh, come on,
the
new
picking.
track.
New trick. New trick. New trick. Okay, let me first get
Not that I
to
don't mind doing these other ones, but I really
yeah.
have a hankering for some new track.
Agree.
So
Agree.
getting those
Agree.
high
Agree.
numbers.
Get us a high number. High
Imagine you've
number. High
added
number.
section 31 to it.
I have. I did that a
Okay.
couple weeks
So
ago,
should we
actually.
have 943?
944, actually.
944.
Yes. All right. Alexa, give me a number between 1 and 944.
Here's a number between 1 and 944. It's 766.
Ooh.
766.
7. I don't think that's a high enough number for new Trek
Let's
because new
see.
Trek are shorter
Yeah.
seasons. So that might be Enterprise again.
Tell me what it was again. 700 and...
Oh God. 776, did he say?
Oh, good grief.
Shit. Oh my God, do I need to stop the recording and go back and listen and record again so we can... Was it 746 or 776?
Or was it 766?
Was it 766? Shit. Should write it down immediately when we hear it.
Let me see if it'll tell me. Hey Siri, it's not that one. Alexa, tell me the last number you gave me.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oh shit.
I wonder if it will show
So
up.
it's one of 3 episodes.
What the hell is my phone? I have my phone and now I can't find my phone.
It's not in here.
I know, because I was going to use it to see if I could access the Alexa app and ask it if it could tell me what I forgot. So,
Honestly, I could stop this. We could listen back
do you want to do that and then just
and then come
add the
back
two
and then
files
say
together?
what it is. Yeah. It's an easy edit. It's just going to be clipping one file to the end of the other. So you want to do
Okay.
that?
Okay, folks, we're gonna stop the recording. We're gonna find out what the number actually was. I gotta start writing this shit down.
God damn, I guess so.
And then we'll be back and tell you what the episode is for next time. So we'll be right back.
I can't remember what I thought it was. Oh, 776.
Yeah. We'll be right back, folks. Okay, guys, we're back.
Yeah, I was wrong with the number.
Yeah, I did say 766 at some point after that, but I couldn't be sure that I remembered. From now on, I'm going to write it down, folks. Sorry about this, but hey, we leave in all the mistakes. So there you go. So 766. Let me get back to my spreadsheet here and I will tell you what episode that is. All right. 766 is where are you? 46566. It is a short trick.
Oh, wow.
It's Ephraim and Dot.
Okay, then. All right. So it gets
Yeah.
a new track and it's a short one.
Yep.
Isn't that the animated one?
Yes. It's one of the 2
Yeah.
animated ones.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Very short trek. Not a very short trek,
Probably
but
make for a short episode, probably, but depends.
well, that's okay. You know,
Well,
we
it
don't.
is technically Discovery, so we can talk about our Discovery feelings because that's usually what we do when we
Yeah.
come to a new series, is discuss
Yes.
our relationship to that series first. So at
Agree.
least there will be that to help pad out the conversation. But
Yep.
yeah, short
See?
treks, Ephraim and
Yeah.
Dot.
Which means that this comes between seasons 2 and 3 of
Oh,
Discovery.
I
And
thought 700s would be sooner than that. Interesting. I guess when you pile up all the new treks, with all the seasons, you get quite a few of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
10
so
here,
yeah,
10 there.
basically after the short treks, that's when Prodigy actually had its first half of its season.
Wow.
And
Okay,
then Lower Decks came in with their first season, then Discovery season 3, and then Lower Decks season 2. And, oh, excuse me. I apologize. It's Picard, not Prodigy, that came
Right.
after the short treks. Picard.
it feels nice returning to new Trek because
Yep.
that's kind of where my heart lies. I mean, I do like the original crispy Trek, but these newer Trek releases just I don't know, they appeal to me more so.
Well, we all tend to appreciate things in their time,
Right.
meaning that what we are watching as new, we appreciate more than, what came out 40 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's some folks that are more nostalgia watchers, and so they'll appreciate the older stuff, while the newer stuff doesn't feel like Trek because it is so modern.
yeah, well, it feels
If
like
that
Trek
makes
to me,
sense.
but that's just
Yeah,
me.
feels like Trek to me too. But there are people out there that say that that the new Trek doesn't feel like Trek. It's like because it's done at a different time. It has a different feeling. It has a different sensibility because it's made for a modern audience,
Yeah.
not an audience from like 20 years ago.
Imagine if people stopped watching Doctor Who when the first Doctor pieced out.
Yeah,
It's like, no, it's only the first Doctor. That is the only Doctor Who that I will watch because that's
yeah,
the only real Doctor Who. It's
yeah.
just, it's a silly concept in my opinion, but it just, people can do what they want. It's not going to affect my enjoyment one way or the other.
That often happens with Doctor Who is the people that don't keen to the new Doctor until they're like a season in. They're
Yeah,
like, hey, I like this doctor. And then that doctor goes and gets replaced with another. And it's like, I'm not too keen on this new doctor. It's just a ever repeating pattern
yeah,
of fandom.
yes,
So
it
yeah,
is.
returning to new Trek with the Discovery short Trek should be fun.
Yes, it will be fun, and we'll have a good time with that, of course.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Sorry
Oh,
about the interruption, but hey, there's a first time for everything.
I do
And
remember one weird thing about this episode
hmm,
is that I think the Enterprise has the wrong classification. I think it
yes,
has the A and it's not supposed to.
yes, that is correct.
Right. Yeah. I wonder
It's
if they
it's
fixed that.
showing Khan on the Enterprise A, and the Enterprise
Yeah.
A didn't happen until the end of Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah. So it's something that they
No,
could
no,
have
no,
gone
no,
in
no,
and
no, no,
fixed,
no, no.
but I don't know if they
Not
would
Star
have.
Trek: The Motion Picture. Star Trek 4, Voyage Home. Sorry.
Right.
That's when the Enterprise A first appeared on
Yeah,
screen.
because it
So,
blew up in Search for Spock,
yes,
the original Enterprise,
yes.
and got the refit with the A.
Well, it was more that they had to completely fucking rebuild it.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a refit like the motion picture where that was a refit,
Yeah.
where they were using the transporter while it was getting repaired. Who does that? But yeah, so
Mm.
we'll be back with some short track.
Yeah. So, woo! See you
Yeah,
guys in 2 weeks. Okay, bye.
bye.
Still up.
Still up.